welcome to those of you whose tastes lean toward the bizarre. I am your host, Wizzy Puff, joined as always by the lovely Ross Pitt.
Hello, everybody. It is me, Ross Pitt. Welcome back.
Our first painting submitted for your approval will tell a tale of two lovers and a ballad that brings more than anticipated. This painting is by an author named Incandescent, and it is titled Mortissimo. This is the Fanfiction Gallery.
Bum bum ba da 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 bum. Bum bum ba da ba da bum bum.
Hell yeah. I support you in whatever you're doing there.
I think we can get around the copyright system if I just sing the tune to the Law and Order.
That's what we should do for next Halloween. Law and Order.
All right. Chapter 1. Bleeding Heart. Evening fell as Octavia returned home. Luna's moon shone in silver tandem with her glittering stars, which speckled the midnight blue sky. Crickets off in the distance played their own melancholic song. She sighed. After a day of long performances like today, Octavia desired nothing more than to relax with her beloved. She unlocked the front door, pushing it open. Inside was pitch black, a darkness that swallowed all light which filtered through. Even after this long, Octavia's equine instinct kicked in. Her heart raced, but slowed after a moment of calm, still breaths. These days, Vinyl liked the darkness. Octavia was willing to pay the price of a little fright if it meant her mare friend's comfort. Shutting the door, she waited for her eyes to adjust. Slowly, the faint silhouettes of furniture and the dark gray of the walls came into focus. Still, to be safe, she used her hoof along the wall as guidance.
Vinyl.
She called.
I'm home.
She waited for a response. Some moments later, a thud sounded from their bedroom. Into the kitchen, she set her bow and cello upon the dining table. She had no desire for some big, extravagant meal, but she needed something to eat. Light blinded her momentarily as she opened the fridge. She fished for her leftover sandwich, but found it missing. Had she eaten it the other day? Or maybe Vinyl had gotten to it while she was gone. She always did have problems with boundaries. She decided instead on a glass of milk and some assorted fruits. That sated her hunger and thirst well enough. After washing up, she gathered her instruments and went to the hallway. The air grew thicker here, colder, musty, almost stale. It had been a while since she'd done a real proper cleaning. She ought to do that this weekend. Before they'd begun properly dating, they'd separated their house into two halves. Vinyl owned the left, Octavia the right. But after being together for so long, the notion struck them as foolish. So they'd integrated the two halves together. Now they shared a bedroom, and had for several years. Yawning, she turned right. At the end of their hallway sat their bedroom door. Closed shut, she knocked, since Vinyl always appreciated the heads up. When she got no reply, she took it as permission granted and entered. The stench hit her like a wave. She wrinkled her nostrils, coughing as her ears were filled with the buzz of swarming flies. Shooing them away, she peered into the room. Somehow, it seemed far darker in this room than the rest of the house. Yet oddly, she could see better. She made out the shadow of their bed and, slumped onto the floor, Vinyl.
Ah, there you are. Lazy today, are we?
Vinyl said nothing, as usual. She'd been a mute for as long as Octavia remembered. Funny, given the unicorn's penchant for wild parties and raves. Though, as of late, Vinyl liked to stay inside. Octavia didn't mind. It meant more time they could spend together. She chuckled, laying her instruments against the wall. She went to Vinyl and scooped her up. Vinyl offered no resistance, though moving around a pony's body took effort. Luckily, Octavia had Earth Pony strength on her side.
There we go,
she said, grunting, as she sat Vinyl against the headboard. Vinyl's head fell askew, so Octavia helped set it straight.
You really are a gorgeous mare. Have I ever told you that?
Vinyl said nothing.
Oh, I know. I tell you all the time, but really you are.
In the darkness, it was hard to make out the details. But it was clear from a glance Vinyl hadn't been fresh for a while. Patches of her fur browned in some spots, peeling away or barren in others.
Ew.
The skin beneath, black and oozing with decay, squirmed with parasitic life. Her ribs protruded from her body, stomach concave. The skin had pulled back from her horn and lips, making it appear as though she were always grinning at some unheard joke. Her hair, thin and tangled, had started to fall out.
We've never had necrophilia on this podcast.
That's true. I don't think we've had any philias yet, but necrophilia definitely.
Oh, we must have had some philias on this podcast.
We've had philias.
Not okay, man.
But funny.
Maybe a little.
Yes.
Oh, so they're called paraphilias.
Yeah, I forgot that word.
It's a fun word to say, but it always leads to so much hate.
She was gorgeous,
You know,
Octavia said.
I was originally planning on going right to sleep, but looking at you... Oh, Vinyl.
Her breath hitched.
I'm getting all choked up. Would you mind if I played for you? That one song you really like?
She waited for an answer. A single viscous trail of black ooze dribbled between Vinyl's shades.
Lovely.
Octavia bowed.
Thank you.
Ugh. Taking her bow and cello and hoof, Octavia stood on her hind legs. She brought the bow to the strings, closed her eyes, and played from memory. The song lasted some 15 minutes. Exhausted as the day had made her, Octavia couldn't let herself falter. Vinyl deserved to be shown appreciation. When she finished, she breathed a sigh of relief. The bow and cello slid from her hooves, too strange to place them down directly.
I hope you liked it,
she said, smiling. The single trickle of black ooze became many, streaking Vinyl's patchy, rotted fur. Tears ran down Octavia's cheeks.
I know. It's a beautiful piece, even were it not for the memories of you. Thank you for letting me play.
Vinyl said nothing.
No shit.
Octavia, yawning once more, crawled into bed. She missed having Vinyl's magic to pull the sheets up and over, but she managed on her own well enough. Once she got herself settled in, she pulled Vinyl under the blankets with her. In the process, her shades slid off, exposing her eyes, or lack thereof. Instead, what had been eyes were now two deep, empty sockets. Octavia could stare into them all night. With a final yawn and satisfying pop of her spine, she prepared for sleep. She closed her eyes, switching onto her side so she and Vinyl could face one another.
Good night, dear,
she said.
I love you.
Vinyl said nothing. Octavia kissed her. Vinyl kissed back.
Wait, what the fuck?
Ah!
Excuse me?
DJ Zombie.
Yes.
Author's note. Author's note. Smiley face. This story was written for the...
Oh, it's just smiley faces are creepy.
Oh, true. Especially the colon parentheses that they're doing.
Yeah.
Makes it look like a real tight-looking mischievous face.
You ever seen that creepy image where, you know how when your computer crashes, it has the frowny face?
Yeah.
Well, there's supposedly a virus that crashes your computer and it has a smiley face instead. It's fake, but it can happen, technically.
I wonder what the angry face one is.
If a hacker ever gave a shit to do that. Usually they're just assholes.
I know there's a lot of people who just make gag viruses, so...
It's never been proven to be a thing, but anyways, continue with the author's note.
This story was written for the 2023 1,000 Words contest in the horror category. If you enjoy this story and would like to receive one of your own, see here for more details.
Lovely.
All right. I was, I thought one of them would die throughout the course of this story. I did not expect her to be dead at the very beginning. I guess this was not as much about the song as I was hoping it was going to be.
Yeah, that was, first off, Mortissimo by Incandescent.
Ah, yes, thank you for reminding them.
It was a bit weird, you ask me. Not exactly what I expected.
Definitely
Kind
gory.
of hot, not gonna lie.
Whoa! Specifically the She Kissed Back, right?
Oh no, that completely didn't do it for me.
Oh, that was it for me.
Honestly. Why is she kissing back? Why you need that? What's going on there?
I do like it as a twist. I was kind of feeling real creeped out by Octavia, but knowing that it was consensual makes it feel a little bit better, you know?
Well, maybe it was always, even if she wasn't some weird zombie thing, maybe it would have already been consensual. Maybe she was like, sure, you can fuck my corpse if I die.
It could have been.
Why are you holding that knife, by the way?
I do like that too. I was not expecting the vinyl kissed back line. Well done.
Yeah, I didn't expect this to get paranormal, just weird. Or maybe it's not paranormal. Maybe vinyl's just a freak.
Yeah, maybe. She's like, yeah, I'm really into rotting my body.
I respect it.
Well, if you guys don't want to end up like vinyl, you guys should go into the description and click that link to check out Mortissimo for yourselves. Because those descriptions of gore should probably leave you feeling as nauseated as I do. And listening, it just isn't enough.
You should also give it a like, by the way, guys.
Is that 27 likes? Let's see how far we can get that up. 28. There we go.
29. Nope, wait. It's still at 28. God damn it, Fanfiction.
And you should also click the link for our next story before we get into it.
But if you're ready to listen, our second painting submitted for your approval was done with surgical precision. But even the most careful of us will eventually make a mistake. This painting is by an author named RB_, and it is titled The Road to Joy.
Well, that's a lovely title. Wait, it was made by RB and it was pre-read by OP? Something's not right here.
I noticed that. Yeah, you could literally spell prob with those letters. There's definitely a problem here.
Yep. Erbop.
Chapter 1 is paved with good intentions. So, you think she can be cured? Windspark asked. His wife's hoof was wrapped firmly in his own. Twilight Sparkle, now sole ruler of Equestria for 20-some years, looked down on the two from her higher vantage point and smiled. They had aged since she had seen them last,
but her proposal had injected new life into them. Life that certainly had faded in all the years they'd petitioned her for their child's freedom. All the years she'd had to deny them their daughter.
Dick move, Twy. Yes,
she said.
Our understanding of the brain has developed quite a bit since your daughter's outburst. What once seemed like wanton cruelty and malice can now be explained by science. Her brain merely made connections it shouldn't have. We now know that this is treatable.
God, this sounds scary.
Yeah. Almost as scary as a colon and... Fuck, what's it called? Yeah, never mind. Smiley face joke. And this treatment,
Featherfall said.
It's proven? It's quite the miracle.
Twilight reassured them.
It's been shown to greatly increase patients' ability to cope with the pressures of society that previously burdened them. It's currently being used to empty out our asylums.
Featherfall glanced at her husband.
Then, if it means she can finally come home, I believe this is her best chance at being able to live a normal, healthy life,
Twilight said, her voice gentle and kind.
There is hope for her now. A modern miracle brought on by modern science.
The married couple looked at each other, nodded. If it means we'll get our cozy glow back, Windspark said. The old cozy. The one we loved. Then,
we give our consent,
Featherfall finished. Twilight smiled at them.
Thank you, both of you. You have made the right decision.
Doodly-doodly-doo. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Twilight glanced at the filly, smiled.
I will admit, Cozy, there is a certain amount of joy in performing your treatment myself. Scientific curiosity, but also the pleasure of getting to finally save you.
Cozy looked up at her. She was currently fixed to an operating table, her head held down by straps, so she could only move her eyes.
Hey, is Twilight going to give her a lobotomy?
That's what it kind of sounds like. Our understanding of the brain has advanced so much.
We've almost made it to the humans in the 1940s.
Woohoo! Ooh, I wonder if they used their unicorn horns to do the lobotomy.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Comes in real handy.
I think you mean hoofy.
That sounds like a sex thing.
I know. That's why I said it.
Save me, huh? Is that what you think you're doing? Twilight had become patient in her time as princess. She'd had to learn it. Overcome herself. She smiled.
I know this must be scary for you,
she said. Not really, Cozy admitted. You've got me strapped to a table and haven't told me what you're going to do to me yet. But it can't be anything too bad. You're still one of the good guys. Now, if our positions were reversed, well, who knows what I'd do to you.
That's cute.
Twilight walked across the tile floor, over to the bed, and knelt down so Cozy could see her face. She was still smiling.
It's okay, Cozy. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, you keep saying that, Cozy replied, smirking. What are you planning on doing? Hugging me until I reform?
No, not this time. The last few times were enough for me. No, not this time. Actually, I'm here to treat the root cause of all your ills.
My horrible personality?
No,
Twilight said, patient and calm as ever.
Your brain. We have a much deeper understanding of how consciousness works now than we did when you were turned to stone. Medical science has advanced considerably. Did you know the brain is made up of thousands of...
She thought of how she could explain it to her. This child arrested in stone for 20 years.
connections. Your entire mind exists in the physical structure of your brain.
Fascinating lecture, Princess. But what's that got to do with little old me?
Well, this new understanding of the brain has led to a new understanding of what are now known as mental disorders. Things that can go wrong in that structure, as well as how to treat them.
Oh boy. Cozy snorted. So you've got some kind of new medicine? You think that'll fix me? Make me good?
Not a medicine.
Twilight explained.
A surgery.
Surgery?
It's called a leucotomy. Oh my god.
Cozy was regarding her seriously now. What's that mean?
Sorry, I just looked up leucotomy.
Oh. I thought this was just like, I'm going to look that up.
The first thing that comes up is lobotomy versus leucotomy. So.
Oh, I guess it's the same thing.
Oh, is it?
According to, what is leucotomy versus lobotomy?
Oh.
A lobotomy, also called a leucotomy.
Yeah, I didn't actually look at that.
Oh boy.
Great. Cool. Awesome. Poor Cozy. Sure, she's basically a terrorist, but she's also like 5.
Yeah, but I mean, that means that her brain still has a lot of growing to do.
You're right. We should lobotomize all the problem children.
Yes, before they're...
I don't know, which lobes do you actually remove in a lobotomy?
Before whatever lobes those are get too big.
I'm sure we'll find out. Well, if the issues with someone's personality come from the brain's structure, the brain making bad connections, then if we were to cut those connections...
You're going to cut up my brain? Twilight smiled.
Not quite so barbarically. But yes, I am going to perform psychosurgery.
What will it do to me?
Make it easier for you to function in society.
Twilight explained.
Make it easier for you to behave normally.
I see.
I'm trying to help you live a more normal life, Cozy.
Twilight said, still calm, still smiling.
It was unfair of us to turn you to stone. You were just a child, and we didn't understand how to help you then. Now we do.
And I suppose I don't get a choice in being made normal.
Your parents already consented to the operation. This is fucked up.
Figures, Cozy replied. They're spineless. They'd do anything you told them was good for me. That's how I wrapped them around my hoof, you know. Anything I wanted, I just had to ask.
They petitioned me for years after you were gone to release you,
Twilight said. Figures, Cozy said again. I always was their perfect daughter. Look where that got me. Strapped to an operating table about to have brain surgery.
I'm glad you're so calm,
Twilight said. I'm not, Cozy replied. I'm desperately trying to think of a way to kill you before you kill me.
I'm not killing you, Cozy. I'm helping you.
Says you. You just don't want me on your conscience anymore. This is a convenient excuse for you.
Man, what if Sunset came back through the mirror and figures out this is going on? And she has modern day human science to go off of. So she's like, Twilight, no.
Oh, Sunset, I'm glad you're here. We have an operation that can make you not a bully anymore.
Your attempts to rile me up aren't going to work, Cozy,
Twilight said.
I'm past that now. I've grown up in the 20 years you were gone.
Golly, you must have gotten pretty detached, too. If this is what you're into, you're a real princess now.
That I am.
Twilight stood up, lighting her horn. She wheeled a tray over. Upon it were the tools she'd need for the leucotomy.
the first of which was a straight razor. Lifting it up in her magic, she began to slice away at Cozy's loose curls.
What the heck? Not even gonna, knock her out before beginning? I mean, I know this is just removing her hair, but I'm assuming that she's gonna be awake for this procedure.
Cozy hasn't been punished enough.
Nope. Come on, being turned to stone? What, like a 20-year nap? Who wouldn't want that?
Apparently, Discord did actually sense everything that happened to him.
Oh. Maybe it would actually be easier to perform surgery when they're made of stone.
Like being at the barber's, Cozy said. Once the mane was gone, Twilight began shaving her coat in the area around where she would be operating. The skin underneath was pink, covered in goosebumps. "You're not gonna knock me out?" Cozy asked.
I'll give you a local anesthetic.
Oh. Great. Twilight replied.
The brain has no pain receptors. You won't feel a thing. I disagree. I get a lot of headaches.
I haven't actually looked this up, but I feel like the brain has pain receptors?
It at the very least is the reason that you feel pain-ish.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big part of that. The brain itself doesn't feel pain, though the brain has billions of neurons. It has no pain receptors. Apparently. Thank you,
Oh, okay.
Osu.
Once the patch was bare, Twilight Sparkle levitated up a hypodermic needle. It was a big metal thing.
Brilliant. This will pinch a little. I promise. It's the only pain you'll feel.
I always hated needles.
Bear with it.
Cozy grit her teeth. Twilight pressed the tip of the needle against Cozy's scalp at an angle, then pierced it in one smooth motion. Cozy sucked in a gulp of air through her teeth. Pressing onward, Twilight sank the needle sideways under Cozy's skin. The plunger depressed under the force of her magic, and the scalp near the tip of the needle bubbled up from the injected fluid, forming a dome against the skull. The needle withdrew. Twilight set it back on the tray.
I think I hate this.
It's really disgusting what's imagery.
Yep. It's disgusting imagery day. Awesome.
Yay. These aren't even the mature fix.
Just need to wait for the effects to set in. Oh, I just can't wait anymore. Let's go.
That's what my dentist did.
Back when you were getting all that teeth surgery or whatever.
When I had gotten a root canal, the was not quite powerful enough. So as soon as he started drilling in, I was like, oh God, we're not going any further.
God, I hate that.
Had to get like a double dose.
Cut that out just for people's sanity.
No, you should leave it in. That's what this episode is about.
Happy Halloween.
I love disgusting imagery.
Not a fan anymore.
Where were we?
Just need to wait for the side effects to kick in or whatever.
Side effects? Oh no.
I guess it's not side effects, it's just the effects.
Yep.
And then you can off me for good.
I can see what you're trying to do, Cozy.
Twilight replied, walking back around to Cozy's eyeline.
You've noticed that I get a little upset when you insinuate that I'm killing you. So you're trying to use it to provoke a reaction that'll get me to stop the procedure.
Cozy grinned. You're good, princess. Guilty as charged.
I will admit, it does get under my skin.
Like
Just
a hypodermic
that
needle.
scalpel will get under yours.
Twilight continued.
But know that what I'm doing will help you reintegrate into society in a way that the connections in your brain made you unable to before. Don't you want to be a better member of society, Cozy?
I'd rather be me. Wouldn't you rather be you?
I don't have a disorder, Cozy. Oh, yes, you fucking do.
God. Oh my God.
Cozy smirked. If I have a disorder, then it's what made me who I am. What right do you have to take that away from me?
The same right a doctor has to fix a broken leg. Your horses.
Ooh!
Oh no.
Sorry, Cozy. The same right a doctor has to fix a broken leg. I am obligated to do this. You'll thank me when it's over.
I was right, Cozy simply replied. You are enjoying this. Maybe we aren't that different after all. You just have better intentions. Twilight patted her on the head.
It's okay. It'll be over soon.
She circled back around to the side of the table, lit her horn, and pinched Cozy's scalp.
Feel that?
Not telling. Twilight adopted a stern look.
It'll hurt if you can still feel it, you know.
I'd rather leave you guessing.
Suit yourself. Suit yourself.
Oh, is that a surgery pun?
Yep.
Twilight lifted up a marker then, and began to draw lines on Cozy's scalp. She levitated over a book, checked some measurements, then continued her work.
I drew a smiley face.
I'm drawing wash me on the back of your head, Cozy. How does that make you feel?
Not good?
Have you even done one of these before? Cozy asked.
I have, actually. 5 times. To prepare for this one. The surgeons I trained under said my work was impeccable.
Or were they butchers? Hard to remember.
Why do you have to do it yourself? Wouldn't it make more sense for one of those surgeons to be here?
I could get one of them, if you'd like. They're observing us from the gallery.
The Fanfiction gallery. It's us.
Good night, everybody.
Cozy thought about it. No, she said after a moment.
If it has to be anyone, it might as well be you. But admit it. You're just trying to fix your own mistakes. This isn't about helping me. This is about making yourself feel better.
Twilight chuckled.
Maybe it is, in part. But I do want to help you, Cozy. That's all I've ever wanted to do.
She put the marker down. A set of lines now crisscrossed Cozy's shaved scalp, indicating just where to cut. Are you going to help Chrysalis and Tyrek? Cozy asked.
No, I don't think there's any way of helping them, regrettably. We don't know enough about their species' brain structures, but maybe in another 20 years' time, medical science will have an answer for them, too. Yeah, it'll be called fucking medicine.
They will get mood stabilizers.
And therapy.
And also love, because that's the biggest thing Chrysalis is missing, apparently.
Yeah. I'd love to reunite you with your friends someday, Cozy. I'll make it my mission.
We weren't friends, Cozy replied. But I suppose I wouldn't mind seeing them again. Twilight smiled, even though Cozy couldn't see her. She picked up a scalpel, dug it into Cozy's scalp. The blood started immediately. Twilight levitated over a bottle of sanitized saline solution and began trickling it over the area, washing the crimson away even as it oozed from the incision. The goal was just to remove an outer square of skin, such that the skull could be drilled without impediment. 1 line, 2, 3, 4. A nice, neat square of skin, which was then peeled back.
Oh my god, no. Who let him in? He's just gonna drink her blood.
Oh, gross. Fun fact, the Count isn't actually a vampire. Because Sesame Street is
He's just vampire-esque or something. Whatever they described him as.
Hold on.
Vampire-like, I think, is how he's described officially.
He has never been explicitly identified as a vampire on screen, according to Muppet.fandom.com.
Yeah, I think it was like some handbook or some comment from one of the creators had described him as vampire-like. And that's the closest that he's ever been described as a vampire.
Yeah.
Other than, just everything he does.
Oh, what would that be?
I can't say anything without offending Romanians. A nice, neat square of skin, which was then peeled back on the edge of the blade.
You aren't feeling that, right?
Twilight asked. I can hear it, Cozy said.
But can you feel it?
Not telling.
Yeah, turns out Twilight actually forgot to put the actual, liquid inside.
Oh, this was just the saline solution I injected into you. My mistake. Twilight set down the scalpel on her tray, brought up a bottle of alcohol, and rinsed the area clean of blood. The white of Cozy's exposed skull was dyed slightly red. Twilight retrieved the hand drill. What are you doing now? Cozy asked, as Twilight pressed the sharp tip of the drill bit against the bone.
I'm about to drill a small hole into your cranium.
Twilight replied, Golly, isn't it a bit morbid doing all of this to a poor, defenseless child, Princess? There was a quiver in Cozy's voice now that hadn't been there before. Twilight patted her on the shoulder.
You're going to be fine, Cozy. Don't worry.
And with that, Twilight began spinning the handle. The bit turned, slowly at first, but quickly gaining speed, creating a horrible sound, half whirring, half rattling. The bit quickly bit into the bone, offering some resistance, but nothing Twilight's alicorn-level magic couldn't easily overcome. Slowly, with the care of a surgeon, Twilight guided the drill further and further into Cozy's skull. Bits of cranium flew out of the end of the hole. The air was filled with a burning, acrid smell that wound its way into Twilight's nostrils and hung there. A drop of blood trickled down from the upper incision and was flung into the air by the motion of the bit. It splashed against Twilight's face, a scar of red against her pure lavender coat. But she did not flinch, could not afford to. Twilight had spent a year studying and practicing, learning and revising, cutting and drilling, hours blurring into days, blurring into weeks and into months, all for this. All to help Cozy glow. It was the filly's best shot at living a normal life. Didn't everyone deserve a second chance? All at once, the resistance to the bit's progress dropped away. Twilight immediately pulled back, not letting the metal implement go even a millimeter farther. It retracted from Cozy's skull, stained red. She wiped the blood off on a cloth and set the drill down. It was then that Twilight noticed that Cozy's teeth were clenched.
How are you feeling, Cozy?
She asked. Too loud, Cozy replied. Impossibly loud.
I'm sorry.
Twilight apologized, her words gentle, caring.
I'm done drilling now.
Inside the hole, Twilight knew, lay the meninges, 3 layers of membrane that enclosed Cozy's brain. They would need to be cut, carefully, before she could properly access the gray matter. She brought over a pair of surgical scissors, specially designed things with long, thin blades that could reach inside the hole she'd drilled, and inserted them into the opening.
I don't think it's intentional on the author's part, but I really like the idea, since this is from Twilight's point of view, that she's just thinking of them as things. This fucking thing that I'm using.
Yeah.
Specifically designed thing. Large metal.
Yeah, I spent a while learning it, but the doohickey. Come on, the doohickey. You know what I mean?
It adds a layer of incompetence that I really like for this story.
Yeah.
So that would be great if the author intentionally did that. But I don't know.
Yeah, they're an author, not a surgeon. Maybe it's just their level of knowledge. Snip, snip, snip.
Snip? We haven't had him in a fix since he died in 2021.
That's true. He was one of the baby ponies who got tortured.
Yep.
including eyes in the trees, bodies, and the leaves. The metal instrument was withdrawn.
We're almost done, Cozy.
Twilight said.
There's just one thing left for me to do. Then you'll be sent to recover. And after that, you can go home with your parents.
I suppose it'll be nice to see them again.
That's the spirit, Cozy. Focus on what your life will be like when all this is over.
Twilight lifted up the last implement on the tray. It looked almost like the hypodermic needle, in that it was similarly shaped and also had a plunger at the back of it. But it was to serve a wholly different purpose.
Holy.
This device was called a leucotome. Though she knew what it did and how it worked, Twilight briefly depressed the plunger anyway. At the tip of the thin needle part of the instrument, a length of wire extended from two sides, forming a circle of metal. This was what would perform the cutting, excising part of the brain, severing those bad connections that had led Cozy to do so much harm 20 years ago. She could feel the weight of the thing in her magic. It seemed heavier than usual, but she imagined that was simply the weight of the moment itself.
All right, Cozy,
Twilight said, levitating the thing up to the hole in the young filly's skull.
This is it.
May I say some final words?
The Pegasus asked.
They won't be your final words.
Twilight reminded her.
Then my final words as I am now?
Cozy replied.
Sure.
I hope you rot in Tartarus for this.
Twilight sighed.
Here we go.
She inserted the rod into Cozy's skull. It slid easily through the hole. She kept pushing it along until it met some resistance. It was butting up against Cozy's gray matter. Twilight swallowed, and then continued pushing. The rod slipped into Cozy's brain, forcing itself between the folds. When it had reached the correct depth, Twilight pushed the plunger inside Cozy's skull. The wires forced their way out into the soft tissue of Cozy's brain, cutting their way through like knives through the flesh of a ripe peach. Oh, what an image. Twilight twisted the handle of the leucotome. The wires cut. The connections were severed. Cozy twitched. It was done.
Oh, wait, I did the wrong part of the brain.
Oh, it's supposed to be the other side.
Whoopsie.
My mistake. Doodly doodly doo.
Oh, thank you so much, Princess Twilight.
Featherfall. I can't believe she's really coming home with us, dear. Windspark.
It's a miracle. After all these years, we finally have our daughter back.
They were both crying. Twilight Sparkle, now sole ruler of Equestria for 20-some years, looked down on the two from her higher vantage point and smiled. She'd wiped her face. The blood was gone. No remnant left.
I'm just happy I was finally able to help Cozy,
she said, with all the poise and grace and kindness and care in the world. And, stuck in a wheelchair, sat between her parents. Cozy's eyes lazily traced the patterns of the dust drifting through the air. She giggled, to no one but herself. Oh, this must be the longest author's note that we have ever read.
Jesus Christ.
Author's note. I'd like to think neuroscience has evolved since the lobotomy was abandoned by it. Become more ethical, more honest with itself. But honestly, as someone who's been under psychiatric care for almost their entire life, well, it's a little hard to say. Sometimes they're certainly trying. I wanted to depict a lobotomy from the perspective of the one giving it. Someone who truly believes that the thing they are doing is in someone else's best interests. Lobotomies were always as controversial in the scientific community as they were popular in the 30s/40s. But those who championed them did generally appear to have their patients' best interests in mind. We usually depict them as monsters, and maybe they were. But by all accounts, they were just trying to find some way to get people out of the horrors of the overflowing asylum system. They didn't find a very good way, but, well, they tried. Fun fact, Did you know lobotomies were most often given to women and homosexual folk? Because it wasn't... You did know that.
I did.
And yet you keep insisting that we both get twin lobotomies together.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be cute. It's not like a tattoo.
It's very euphoric.
It's the best high you'll ever get, man, I swear. Because it wasn't fucked up enough already. When your metric of success is make difficult people less difficult, and your idea of a good wife is someone who is submissive and doesn't think for themselves. Coddle of the 30s. Christ. The leucotomy depicted in the fic is a precursor to the transorbital lobotomy, also known as an ice pick lobotomy. Oh!
My favorite.
So this is like an earlier and even more barbaric version, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my god, poor Cozy.
Yeah.
Which is the more commonly known version of the procedure in which a large metal spike is hammered through the eye socket into the brain. While this procedure is more brutal, the leucotomy is more methodical and surgical, and I wanted the process in the fic to allow the two characters time to discuss what was happening. Famously, an ice pick lobotomy could be done in minutes. This was treated as a good thing. Accounts talk of Walter Freeman, the inventor of the transorbital lobotomy, staying in one operating room while doing some dozens of the procedure in a row. Patients would be wheeled into the room, he'd tap a spike into their brains, and then they'd be wheeled out, like an assembly line. Sorry, I did a lot of research on the subject last night, before and during writing this, and I'm still processing it all. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the fic. And that was The Road to Joy by RB_.
Well, Wizzy, I must say, what an insightful read.
This, I would say, is the best torture fic we have read.
Can you even consider it torture, really?
You're right. This isn't this is science and help.
She was helping her.
Yeah.
It made me very uncomfortable, I will say.
Yeah.
But, like, in the best way a fic can. I went into it expecting this, and that's what I got.
Well, I definitely don't want to say that I hate it, but oh god, why? Why would you do that? Evil. Just evil.
I really do like evil Twilight stories. This is like the perfect style of, oh, I'm a benevolent dictator. I'm doing so much good as a dictator.
Yeah. You know, I think this kind of ruins lobotomies a bit, though, because it becomes less sexist.
Does it? Oh, because it's a woman doing it.
Yeah. It's a woman ruler in a primarily, let's face it, it's a matriarchal society.
Uh-huh.
So
She should have been doing this to a stallion.
yeah, it just takes out a bit of the enjoyment in it. I suppose, though, it does replace it with one of the more marginalized groups nowadays, children.
True.
So that kind of balances things out, I guess.
Yeah, I think Cozy Glow is a good choice because it's like she's a kid who's dealing with mental issues.
Yeah.
And like, okay, well, how do you rehabilitate someone like Cozy Glow?
Oh, lobotomies.
Yeah, honestly, it's depressing.
Uh-huh.
But even more depressing, she probably deserved it more than most of the people who actually got lobotomies.
Well,
Hot take, everyone.
I don't like to compare, even though you're probably right. Well, Wizzy, what do you think was the more fucked up one today?
Oh, that's a good question. Definitely Road to Joy. But Mortissimo, it has a place. It has a place.
Both of these stories were absolutely atrocious on my mental state. Terrible reads for me.
They're
terrible. Both very good, though. Go give them likes.
Both freaking gore fics, but I was expecting because they're teen, they would be a little bit less make me want to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta wonder what these mature fics that we have lined up are going to be like.
Oh, God. Those ones actually look really fucked up, too, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm excited. Are you excited? I've never been so excited, except for that time when I... But, I mean, really, it's a Pinkie Pie quote.
Oh, that's clever.
Thank you all for joining us tonight on this edition of the Fanfiction Gallery.
We deeply appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya!
Oh shit, Wizzy. I just
What?
got a notification.
Oh?
I set this months ago. I'm supposed to tell you to watch Paranorman.
Oh, yeah. So I watched Paranorman. It was very overrated. Not even spooky. No, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I figured you hadn't.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it this October with Semi.
Good. Fucking finally. And also watch Happy Death Day 1 and 2.
I might, but probably not.
Please.
Probably not. There's a lot of horror to watch, and only 1 October.
You're really disappointing sometimes.